Alright, what's going on, guys? Trevor back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video review for The Walking Dead Volume Number 8, Made to Suffer. This collects issues 43 through 48, and this right here is the most exciting part in all of the Walking Dead series, comic book, television show, whatever. When the television show gets to this part, I think everyone's going to lose their damn minds. This will probably happen around late season 4, probably, I'm assuming. I mean, it could be in season 3, but I'd like to think they're going to push it into season 4. And probably at the end of season 4, we will see the end of this book. This is, in my opinion, the most exciting portion of the entire story of The Walking Dead. Being from issues 1 all the way through up till now to 99, and 100 will be out soon. Or actually, by the time you're watching this, 100 will already have been released. But at the time of filming, it's not. But this right here is by far the most exciting part. This is the climax of the series by far. It's absolutely just amazing stuff. Now, this will contain spoilers, this review, and a lot of them, because this trade includes, the most important things that happen in all of the Walking Dead story. During this trade, more shit goes down than in any other part of the story whatsoever. So in the last trade paperback, we left off with a calm before the storm, so to speak, in that everything was sort of calming down after the trade before it, where Rick had been captured by the governor in Woodbury. Michonne had been tortured, captured, all that kind of stuff. Glenn, also sort of let go, but, also kind of tortured and, scared to the point where he was in tears and all this kind of stuff. And so they get away, of course. They go back to the prison, and Rick is able to kill Martinez, who is basically going to go back to Woodbury and to the governor to report, what happened, and to let him know where the prison actually is so that they can attack it. So they were looking for it for a while, the guys from Woodbury, for a little while. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a couple months that they were actually searching for it between the time when Rick and Michonne and Glenn get back to the prison and the governor actually attacks, which is the start of this issue. As you can see here, the cover is illustrated with the governor with just an angry face, made to suffer. So it starts out, and we get to see sort of a scene of what happened after Michonne had left the governor, basically a mess, a bloody mess. They fixed the governor up, essentially. He's only got one eye at this point. He's only got his left hand. He can't shoot with it. He's kind of useless, and he basically wants revenge. So now that they know where they are, and they pretty much have got a location on them, he gets all of his men together, so to speak. Here's the scene where he's rallying the troops, so to speak, of Woodbury, right there, as you can see them all. And yep, so he's talking to them, giving them a little speech on what Rick's group did, killing a lot of, several men of his, and of course leaving him a bloody mess, even though he was the one to start in the beginning. And of course, what we saw at the end of a column before, he attacks with the tanks and all of his men. As you can see, there are a lot of them, quite a few. And again, just to show the same scene that was in the last one, he says, kill them all. So this trade is basically them attacking, tons of action, the most action in a single Walking Dead trade we've had. They're blowing away the zombies, the Woodbury group. They're outside the fences. They're shooting, lots of shots going off everywhere. People running. There's Andrea and Rick heading for the hills. Just gunshots all over the place. Andrea runs to a guard tower. So does Glenn. And they start with their scopes and sniper rifles. They start taking off some of the guys. Andrea almost gets the governor, but misses his head, hits his chest because it's a long distance. And then we get into, sort of like a sniper battle here, and Andrea's just picking guys off left, right, and center. But then she gets hit with one, but it just grazes her. It doesn't actually, like hit her in the front of the head or anything. It actually just grazes off her ear. And as that's happening, there's stuff everywhere. The tank's driving around. There's shots being fired everywhere. Glenn's firing. Andrew's firing. The guys from Woodbury are firing. Dudes are getting laid out. At this point, pretty much Rick's group is winning. They're able to, Andrea and Glenn and the sniper towers are really, hammering guys down and killing lots of guys, and really doing well. And they are forced to retreat. But then as we look around sort of and we see, what's happened as a result, we get to see this. And then Tyrese, of course, says Rick's been shot. You've got him there in the gut. Down he goes. So that, of course, seeing as how he's the main character, is, oh man, so exciting, so absolutely exciting stuff, man. And he's laid out in the bed and all that, and Lori and Carl are just kind of watching him and and seeing if he's getting any better. Of course, he survives, but he's out of commission. He can't fight. Basically, Michonne decides to go after them with Tyrese, which we find out to be is a really bad decision. She leaves the camp. Dale, who's still alive in the comic book, decides that they got to get the hell out of there, because this is crazy. This is like a war, so to speak, and they don't have enough guys. Like they're way outnumbered. They don't have the same kind of firepower. They don't have their own tank. They don't have as many assault rifles and all this other kind of stuff. A lot of what they have are sidearms and a few rifles, but no assault rifles and stuff like that. And so of course we get to see some cool scenes with Michonne going after some of the guys in the governor's group. She's kind of slicing guys up here and there, as you can see there. So some cool shots there of her, cutting guys up and all that. And man, brilliant stuff. So Rick wakes up, but he's sort of out of it. A little bit of time passes, but not much. I assume only like a day or two. And they catch Tyrese. So as Tyrese went after their group, he doesn't, he gets caught. They got him, so to speak, and they got Michonne's sword. Even though she is still out there, she's not exactly, captive at this point, but she's not at the prison. She's sort of in limbo out there in the woods somewhere. And right here coming up is one of the coolest scenes too, because Tyrese, you got to remember, has a huge part in the comic book series, even bigger than Shane does. And the governor basically takes Tyrese, ties him up in front of the prison, and puts on a show, and basically takes the sword and tells him to basically surrender or come out. Otherwise, he's going to do this. And this is graphic warning. So then he chops away at it, chops away at it, chops away at it, and boom, at the end, comes right off in front of everybody. So the people of Rick's group are like losing their minds, and they start firing, so to speak, but it's, Tyrese is basically dead, his head chopped off by the governor. And then Michonne sort of ganks him from behind and gets up behind him, and again, just so exciting, thinking she's going to pull the trigger, yada, yada. And she does, but she just blows off his ear, and like part of his face, but she doesn't exactly kill him. And then again, she, she's so fast and everything, she's able to get away. And yeah, and then of course the governor and his group decide, okay, we're going back in. They go back in after them again, and this time, the governor basically says, just run the damn fence over with the tank. You've got Andrea, because she left with Dale. She comes back on top of the RV and she's blasting away at them. Doing pretty good. They drive one of their cars in the RV, which kind of messes her up and puts her out of the position. And so she's down, and then the governor decides to drive the tank right over the fence in the prison. As you can see there in the middle, I know it's kind of messed up, but yeah, you can see it there. So that's an awesome spread. One of Charlie Adlard's probably best drawn pages, or dual pages there, full spreads. Just amazing. Kirkman, and it just goes right over the fence. And then, as the governor's troops are in, they kind of run in, and, you got people shooting everywhere. Rick goes to Lori and his family and basically just wants to get the hell out of there. Aside from that, here we get to see the death of Hershal. Hershal's like bringing his son with him. Boom, boom. Shots are being fired everywhere. And the next thing you know, he looks back and he's basically dragging his son. And next thing after that, he basically, he gets it too, and he goes down too. So that's that. And then the most exciting, probably the most surprising page in all of The Walking Dead, I'd have to say. Yeah, something you never think would happen is right here. Boom. So Lori gets it. Totally blown apart. There's still some speculation of whether or not she maybe survived or she's a walker. I assume she's probably a walker, but she's dead. The baby may or may not be dead. It could be alive, but the baby actually probably is. But Lori's dead, and that's that. And then of course you see Rick's expression, where he just looks back and she's down, and he basically says to Carl to just keep running, don't look back, and they run through walkers through the walkers to get away from the people, sort of to use them to get away from the Woodbury group, just to use them sort of, get away. The governor executes Hershal, and then one of the governor's own group, this girl is one of them, I forget her name. I forget what her name is, but she turns on the governor because he ordered her to shoot at Lori, and Lori had the baby, so she turns on the governor and she blasts him apart. Yeah, her name's Lilly. She just, so she, yeah, let's see here. This is pretty cool here. She basically just, blam, shoots him and then kicks him into the group, or kicks him into the zombies, and he gets eaten apart. So, sort of like a who won type situation. Nobody really won. I mean, the governor didn't win, you know what I mean? And Rick's group didn't win because obviously casualties on both sides. Rick got away, luckily, but the governor and his group, like the governor, most of his group is dead, and the governor himself is actually dead. So that's that. And then you've got probably one of the coolest things, Carl and Rick just kind of like walking away from the prison, getting out of there, and Rick being sick because he was shot in the stomach, and Carl just asking, where's Mom, where's Judy, and then Rick is crying and tells them they didn't make it. And then this is a cool spread too. I absolutely love this one, just of Rick and Carl just kind of like holding each other while all this chaos in the background has happened, and they actually get away. To be continued. So wow, man, this is by far, if there's one trade that you should definitely read, it is this one, Made to Suffer. It is the best story arc, ending of, the governor's story arc in all of The Walking Dead. Even after this, nothing compares to this, because we get used to seeing the characters live in the prison all this time, and now that is taken away from them. That is completely and totally yanked away from them. They're attacked by this other group. We lose like half the characters in Rick's group, or maybe more, like just over half probably. And of course, Lori, who nobody would think that would happen to her, does, and the new baby as well, Judy, does as well. So, in terms of a score, I'm going to give this one a perfect 10. I think that, or maybe even like higher, like 11 out of 10, even though doesn't make sense, but that I almost feel like saying that because it's the best story arc in a comic book I've ever read. The lead up to it, with everything that happens with the governor, the prison, the war, the characters dying off, just the absolute battle, the governor actually dying too, and Rick and Carl just getting away. It brings the characters into a new place that they've never been in the comic book before, in the story before, where you have like Rick and Carl just by themselves, alone. Nobody else in the group, just them trying to survive on their own. Wow. Really, really exciting stuff. My favorite trade paperback ever. My favorite story arc in a comic book ever, by far. Let me know what you guys think about Made to Suffer. Man, this was just such a crazy direction for the story to take, and I think that it made sense every step of the way. That's it for this video, guys. See you for the next one. In another 3 days, we'll do Here We Remain, which is the leftovers of what happens after this. And then the story, of course, continues because Carl and Rick are still alive. Yeah, that's it for this video, guys. See you for the next one. Later. Peace.